The Demons ran out like men possessed, booting 4-3 to no score in the opening term. Collingwood looked to shake things up a bit in the second term, but this time around, Melbourne wouldn't be sucked in, holding the Pies to a solitary goal in the first half. By three-quarter time, the D's had booted 7-12 to just 2 goals to hold a commanding 42-point lead in a low-scoring scrap in waterlogged conditions. Bear in mind that the vision that you're about to see, that there's no out of bounds on the full penalty in 1960. That rule didn't come into effect until 1969, so don't get confused when you see it thrown back in after a player has clearly kicked it in over the fence, an option that modern-day defenders can only dream about. Well, we'll pick up play at the start of the final term. It's the 1960 grand final. Melbourne lead it by 42 points. Your commentators are Roy Wright and Graham Cope.
Everything in readiness for the start of the last quarter, the Victorian Football League grand final, Melbourne versus Collingwood. Melbourne leading by 42 points at three-quarter time. Umpire Irving blows the whistle and bounces the ball for the start of the final quarter, the VFL grand final. Melbourne in the white nicks, almost black, most of them by mud, and Melbourne going into attack through Case, round onto the centre wing position towards Dixon and Hutchison. There's a chance for Little Burns to Brewer, and Collingwood at half forward right with a chance to go into attack. Collingwood kicking to the scoreboard goal in this last quarter, and Brewer's kick out of bounds. .42 points the difference. Melbourne 7-12, Collingwood 2 goals. Brewer once more prominent. Plenty of weight, no issues shirked whatsoever in this grand final. This ball will be thrown in between the members' wing and Collingwood's right half forward flank. Len Mann in front of the pack, but Wiedemann there, up towards the pocket.
That has been the pattern all day. As soon as a Collingwood player gets the ball, he's completely surrounded and swamped by Melbourne players.
Again, Len Mann doing a lot of work in the ruck for Melbourne. Brewer. Lord diving with Wiedemann, and Thorogood backing up. Fripp for Collingwood. You can see then Fripp was very strongly harassed by Laidlaw, trying to get a kick. Once more it's Len Mann, the third time in succession. Out to Dixon. Kevin Rose carrying that ball over the line. On the members' stand, the wing, centre wing position. This time it's Gabelich to Wiedemann. And Wiedemann awarded a free kick. Barassi was in front, couldn't hold the mark. Off the ground by Case to the centre, the mud patch in the centre. Delanty leading in the race for the ball from Tunbridge, but Tunbridge cleverly to Mithen, and Mithen will be awarded a free kick for excessive manhandling.
Well, there you could see the difference. The Collingwood player attempted to pick that ball up, but Melbourne scooped it off the ground of someone going past. That's been the difference all day between these two sides.
Bill Fripp, the Collingwood centre half back in the way. Collingwood half-back line has been under a lot of pressure right throughout the game. Into the centre again. Mann in front. Well, that's a pretty sticky sight on your screens. Umpire Irving try and find a dry spot, perhaps. No, into the air. O'Dwyer. Laidlaw missing it. Tunbridge. Bob Johnson and Mick Toomey. Position is between centre half forward and full forward with Melbourne in attack. Chance for Fripp. There goes Rowarth. Round into the pocket and the throw in to take place. No change in score since the final term started 3.5 minutes ago. Melbourne 7-12, Collingwood 2 goals.
Kevin Rose was completely surrounded, then 3 Melbourne players swooped on him as he came through with the ball. It's been mainly Melbourne's backing of one another up, plus their pace that has given Collingwood this task of trying to catch them today.
O'Dwyer for Collingwood.
And it looks as though Brewer has been giving a run on the ball. Fellows is in that pocket now, and Brewer is up in the ruck work.
Turner for Collingwood. Out into the centre again, looking for Wiedemann. Lord persisting, but this time it's Collingwood through Beers, out on wide onto the flank. Burns driving them up to full forward on one of their rare excursions up to goal. And again, you saw one of the pretty heavy physical clashes that have been characteristic of this grand final. The ball to be thrown in between half and full forward right, Collingwood in attack. Burns again. But for the most part, this pattern still the same. Collingwood's moves up forward being smothered as a general rule. There's Turner. Tassie Johnson. Wiedemann unable to do anything, and umpire Irving will bounce the ball. Len Mann once more.
He played very, very well in the ruck. He's taken right over since halfway through the first quarter, and he's really missed a hit out that he's gone for.
It's O'Dwyer shooting for goal, close. One behind, kicked by Ronnie O'Dwyer. Well, I guess that rates applause because it's Collingwood's first behind for the match and the first score for this term. So it's Tassie Johnson's first kick-in for the match for Melbourne. We'll probably see him at various stages throughout the game, but the Melbourne messenger has been doing a power of work throughout the match. He spent much of the game on the ground. That's Tunbridge. Splendid ball handling.
Tunbridge is the main reason with Mann, I would say, for Melbourne's lead at this stage. They've completely dominated the half-forward line, and they've given them continual drive down there.
It's Turner getting a hand pass away, but intercepted by Melbourne. Turner again, flashing in. And still, 7-12, 54 Melbourne to 2-1, 13 Collingwood. It was Harrison that time in the ruck. John Lord. That's out wide of the centre, out towards the centre wing position. I think it's Harrison underneath all that. Gradually extricates himself, and umpire Irving once more the honours. Well, what can you say about that? Gablich and Trevor Johnson contesting the hit out. Now a chance for Collingwood to work the ball up forward. Past the mighty Magpies, their mascot sign. Half forward left. And still 41 points the difference. As you can see, the sun shining on the Melbourne cricket ground. Then it was, now it's not.
There's a free kick to O'Dwyer.
Up to full forward, O'Dwyer's kick. Thorogood was waiting back. and a clearing kick round in the direction of Hassa. Mann back to Dixon, but Mann was adjudged over the boundary line. His final term has been in progress for 9.5 minutes. Bob Johnson now taking a turn on the ball with Fellows and Wiedemann. Methan for Melbourne up towards the centre-half forward position. Mick Toomey out to Fripp, but Dixon it was, intercepting very quickly. Rowarth with a clear go. And there's Rowarth's kick straight through the middle.
A beautiful kick by Rowarth. He picked a beautiful hand, picked the ball up very, very cleanly. And but it was a floating punt that he kicked, and it floated right through the centre.
Melbourne going further ahead, 8-12-60 to Collingwood, 2-1-13. This telecast of the Victorian Football League Grand Final between Melbourne and Collingwood coming to you through Channel 2, the ABC Sporting Service. Thorogood again for Melbourne. Out onto the centre wing. Hassa Mann and his opponent Rose. Hutchison going through to Fripp. And Collingwood with the chance now to fire the ball out onto the centre wing where Gray marks. Gablich, and he was about 1 foot over the boundary line. And Collingwood's 20th man, Chapman, has come onto the field, replacing Errol Hutchison, who walks round the boundary line. Tassie Johnson back towards the centre. That's Keneally and O'Dwyer. O'Dwyer winning out. Up to full forward for Collingwood. And it's Beers marking about 30 yards out from goal on a slight angle. Brian Beers with the chance to goal. The sun comes out just as he takes his kick. And it's one behind only. Collingwood's second score for the term, another behind, 2-2-14, Melbourne 8-12-60.
Melbourne would go on to add a further 2 behinds to exact some measure of revenge for their 1958 failure by emphatically claiming the 1960 title by 48 points. Favourite son Ron Barassi added premiership captain to his ever-growing list of achievements. Here's Ron accepting the cup with legendary coach Norm Smith standing behind him there in the trench coat. And after a winning grand final was the only time, Ron tells me, that he was happy to wear a Collingwood jumper, back in the days when opponents traditionally swapped Guernseys after the final siren. A great idea at the time, but it's made for generations of ex-footballers wishing they'd kept their premiership jumper later in life. Barassi and his opposing captain Murray Wiedemann pretty much knew each other as well as any grand final skippers in history. They'd been playing with and against each other since they were juniors. Here's what they had to say after the 1960 grand final. We'll start with the 24-year-old Ron Barassi looking splendid in his dressing gown. And if you're thinking there is something missing, there's not a sponsor's logo inside.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the captain of Melbourne, Premiers 1960. Congratulations, Ron.
Thank you very much.
How are you feeling? Pretty tired, I guess.
Well, I think the reaction set in. I feel a bit flat at the moment. I feel almost the same as if I'd lost, but by about 8 o'clock tonight I'll be kicking on a bit.
I reckon you will be. Ron, did you ever in your wildest dreams imagine that you would win by quite so much in these conditions?
No, not in these conditions. I thought we possibly would win by this much if we had the dry conditions, but well, it just proves that providing we have the right mental approach, and that's a very important thing, providing we have that, I mean, we've got the team to back it up. If we have the right mental approach where we can have really good wins against any side, I reckon, anyway.
Has all that hatred, bitterness, jealousy and envy that we talked about last night, is that all gone for now?
All gone until next year.
Until next year. When do you feel that you won it, Ron, in the first quarter?
Yes, in the first quarter, and every man rose to it, and we tackled and harassed them just the way we did against Fitzroy, and in the main really got in for that ball and had a mean attitude as far as letting him have any say in whatsoever in doing what they want to do with it, Graham.
Well, Ron, I know you're tired and I know you've got other people to talk to. Thanks very much for sparing us this time.
Thank you
and
very
once
much.
more, congratulations.
Thank you.
Murray, bad luck, but thank you very much for coming round. I knew you'd be here, win or lose.
Yes, well, congratulations to Ron and his side. They did a wonderful job. We weren't in the hunt all day, and I'm a bit disappointed that the public didn't get their money's worth. I think we might have fallen, and it might have been our fault this time. 58, Melbourne came back at us when we started a bit of rough stuff, but this time we went in hard after the ball, and they wouldn't have any bar of it. So I think it backfired on us a little bit. But congratulations to Melbourne. They're a wonderful side, and they're really top.